When Aragorn looks into the Palantir of Orthanc and reveals himself to Sauron, something unexpected happens. The Dark Lord panics, not because Aragorn is powerful, though he is, not because he's leading armies, though he does, but because of who Aragorn is and what that means if he has the ring. Sauron immediately abandons his careful strategy. He rushes his attack on Minas Tirith. He throws everything he has at Gondor before Aragorn can consolidate power. He makes mistakes he never would have made otherwise, all because he's terrified. Not of Gandalf, who's a literal demigod. Not of Galadriel, who's one of the oldest and most powerful beings left in Middle-earth, but of Aragorn, a mortal man who'll be dead in a few decades anyway. Why? What is it about Aragorn specifically that makes Sauron more afraid of him wielding the ring than anyone else? The answer isn't about strength or wisdom or magical power. It's about something far more dangerous. This is why Sauron feared Aragorn more than anyone else who could possess the ring. And understanding it reveals everything about how the ring actually works, what Sauron saw in the Palantir. Let's start with what actually happened when Aragorn used the Palantir. After the Battle of Helm's Deep, Pippin steals the Seeing Stone from Gandalf and looks into it. Sauron sees him and assumes he's the ring-bearer captured in Isengard. Perfect. Sauron sends the Nazgul to retrieve him. But then, hours later, someone else uses the stone, and this time, it's not a confused hobbit, it's Aragorn, the heir of Isildur, the man who has the best claim to the throne of Gondor and Arnor, standing in Rohan, wearing the ring of Barahir that proves his lineage, carrying the shards of Narsil that cut the ring from Sauron's hand 3,000 years ago. And Sauron does the math instantly. The hobbit he saw earlier wasn't the ring-bearer. This man is. Aragorn has claimed the ring. He's gathering armies. He's preparing to use it. Tolkien describes Sauron's reaction in Unfinished Tales and his letters. The Dark Lord believed completely that Aragorn possessed the One Ring and intended to use it against him, and that belief changed everything about his strategy, because if Aragorn has the ring, Sauron is finished. Why Aragorn specifically? So why is Aragorn with the ring more dangerous than anyone else? Why not Gandalf, who's vastly more powerful? Why not Galadriel, who's lived for 7,000 years and wears one of the 3 rings? Because of what Aragorn is. He's the rightful heir to both Gondor and Arnor. He's a direct descendant of Elendil, who founded both kingdoms. He's the heir of Isildur, who cut the ring from Sauron's hand. And, most crucially, he has the political legitimacy to unite all the kingdoms of men under one banner. That's what Sauron fears. Not Aragorn's personal power, but his authority. If Aragorn claims the ring and declares himself High King, every kingdom of men has a reason to follow him. Gondor would rally to its rightful king. Rohan is already allied with him. The Dunedain Rangers are his sworn followers. Even distant kingdoms that have stayed neutral would have to consider their position when the heir of Isildur returns with the Ring of Power. Gandalf, no matter how powerful, is a wizard. He has no kingdom, no throne, no legal authority to command armies. Galadriel rules Lothlorien, but has no claim to the realms of men. They could be powerful individuals with the ring, but they couldn't unite the free peoples under one rule. Aragorn could, and united free peoples under a ring-bearing king is Sauron's absolute worst nightmare. Part 3. The precedent that terrifies him. Sauron has seen this before. 3,000 years ago, Elendil and Gil-galad did exactly what he fears Aragorn will do. They united men and elves into the last alliance. They marched on Mordor with overwhelming force. They besieged Barad-dûr for 7 years, and they won. Yes, Sauron killed both leaders in the final battle. Yes, he would have escaped if Isildur hadn't cut the ring from his finger. But the point is, united kingdoms with legitimate leadership brought Sauron to his knees. He was defeated. His body was destroyed. He lost the ring. It took him 1,000 years to build back enough strength to take physical form again. That's the nightmare scenario. And Aragorn is Isildur's heir. The same bloodline, the same claim, the same ability to unite kingdoms. Except this time, if Aragorn has the ring, Sauron can't win the final battle. Last time, Sauron had the ring and still lost against the last alliance. Now, Aragorn would have the ring. All of Sauron's power added to the combined armies of every kingdom that Aragorn can unite. It's not even a contest. Part 4. Why Gandalf couldn't do the same. Here, is where it gets interesting. Gandalf is objectively more powerful than Aragorn. He's a Maya, the same order of being as Sauron himself. If Gandalf claimed the ring, he'd become incredibly dangerous. Tolkien even says that Gandalf with the ring would defeat Sauron. So why isn't Sauron more afraid of Gandalf than Aragorn? Because Gandalf can't unite the kingdoms. He's not a king. He has no throne, no dynasty, no legal claim to rule. If Gandalf tried to command Gondor or Rohan, they'd have every right to refuse. He'd be a powerful wizard demanding obedience, not a rightful king claiming his throne. More importantly, the other kingdoms would resist. Dwarves don't follow elves or wizards on principle. Men fear magical domination. If Gandalf claimed the ring and tried to unite everyone by force or intimidation, he'd create a coalition against himself. Sauron understands this. A powerful individual with the ring is dangerous, but manageable. You can avoid them, outlast them, find their weaknesses. But a legitimate king with the ring, commanding armies who follow willingly out of law and loyalty, is unstoppable. That's what Aragorn represents. Part 5. How it changes Sauron's strategy. The moment Sauron believes Aragorn has the ring, his entire strategy changes. Before this, Sauron was patient. He'd been building strength for centuries. He was winning slowly, grinding down the free peoples through attrition, corruption, and despair. He had time. He could afford to be careful. But now he has no time. If Aragorn has the ring, every day Sauron waits is a day Aragorn uses to consolidate power, gather armies, and master the ring's abilities. Sauron has to strike immediately before Aragorn can fully unite the kingdoms. So, he abandons caution. He launches his assault on Minas Tirith earlier than planned, before all his forces are assembled. He commits the Witch King and all 9 Nazgul to one battle instead of spreading them across multiple fronts. He empties Mordor of troops to throw everything at Gondor's capital. This is desperation. This is fear, and it's exactly what Gandalf and Aragorn wanted. They knew Sauron would panic if he believed Aragorn had the ring. They knew he'd rush his attack. They knew he'd make mistakes, and those mistakes created the opening Frodo needed to reach Mount Doom. While Sauron was obsessing over Aragorn, while he was throwing his armies at Minas Tirith and then at the Black Gate, 2 hobbits walked almost unnoticed through Mordor. Because Sauron was terrified of the wrong threat. He feared the king with the ring so much that he forgot to guard against the real danger, the quiet destruction of the ring itself. So why did Sauron fear Aragorn more than anyone else who could possess the ring? Because Aragorn wasn't just a powerful individual. He was a symbol, a king returning to claim his throne, a unifier who could rally every kingdom of men under one banner, a leader who inspired loyalty not through domination, but through legitimate authority. Gandalf could be powerful with the ring, but couldn't unite the kingdoms. Galadriel could preserve and protect, but had no claim to rule men. Only Aragorn had both the lineage and the leadership to do what Elendil did 3,000 years ago. Unite the free peoples and march on Mordor with unstoppable force. Sauron had been defeated by that strategy once before. He couldn't let it happen again. His fear of Aragorn wasn't irrational. It was completely justified. If Aragorn actually had the ring, if he'd claimed it and used it, Sauron would have lost. Not eventually, not after a long struggle, immediately. That's why the mere possibility was enough to make the Dark Lord abandon centuries of careful planning and rush into battle. And that fear, that panic, that desperate need to crush Aragorn before he could rise to power is what ultimately destroyed Sauron. He was so afraid of the king with the ring that he never considered the hobbits without it.